And we are back. We hope you're enjoying this fantastic fantasy football feast here on MCN Channel 6. And we'd like to take an opportunity right now, Yeasty, to mention the Fat Chat, where all of the junkies out there can go on to our website after the show, converse with us about their lineup decisions. The website is testosteronesports.com. We have a lot of fun on the chat.
Yeah, I mean, we've got regulars that come on there, myself, you, Jeff. There's about 10 to 15 regulars that are rotating in and out, that come in, talk a little crap to us about if we're wrong, which isn't very often, you know. But
that never happens.
Well, I'm wrong every once in a while. But, you know, it's a good time. We're on right after the show. I'm usually on a few minutes before the show is over. Got a big screen right there next to my computer. I'm just waiting there watching myself on TV, and then people come in to talk to me. It's kind of an ego trip, you know. I like it.
Yeah, exactly, as you should, and you should like the Fat Chat, so check it out, testosteronesports.com. All of the content on our website is completely for free. We've just released some new writers pages on there, so you can go on there, click on the different icons. Yeasty has his writers page, as well as me and Jeff. A couple other writers pages on there as well. We've got rankings, podcasts, videocast, everything out there for the fantasy football freak in you. Check it out, testosteronefantasysports.com. And on to the next matchup, Yeasty. San Diego at Green Bay. A must-win game here for San Diego. They're kind of reeling after getting trounced by the Patriots last week.
If we had to pick one of these teams was going to be 2-0 when this matchup came out, I mean, we would think it would be San Diego for sure. You know, it's a big question for me whether or not they're going to be able to keep any kind of momentum going at all. They struggled against the Bears and their tough defense. They got nailed in New England, and hopefully, against a pretty stout Green Bay defense, LaDainian Tomlinson owners can get some rewards for all their hard-earned money that they spent on him.
Yeah, exactly. LT was an utter disappointment and a shame for fantasy owners last week. I know I lost to Jeff in one matchup where I had LT. I lost to Jeff by 2 points, and LT was a complete non-factor in that game. Realistically, on San Diego's side, you got to play Gates and you got to play LT, but forget about the Vincent Jackson talk. Forget about Phillip Rivers right now. It's those two guys, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that you have other than Gates and LaDainian at this point. You know, on the Green Bay side of the ball, the backfield's a little muddled. You know, Deshaun Wynn got 10 carries for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everybody jumped on the Deshaun Wynn bandwagon. I don't really believe in it, probably because I have Brandon Jackson in our tough league and I wasn't able to get Deshaun Wynn.
We call that wishful thinking.
I don't believe in it because other than the long carry where it was a completely blown defense, you know, he had about 10 carries for 12 yards. So the goal line thing, Brandon Jackson just happened to be out on a breather the first goal line carry, so I don't believe in Deshaun Wynn just yet, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly. Wynn is a definite waiver wire pickup for you. If he's out there on your wire, pick him up. He still has a chance to contribute in this backfield, but really when Green Bay has the ball, it's always been about number 4. It's still about number 4. And it's also about their defense really stepping up here. I think Brett Favre is a play in this game, as well as Donald Driver, and that's about it for Green Bay.
Yeah, that's about it. If you're in a really deep league, James Jones, maybe Greg Jennings still going to be hurt. So other than that, Favre, Driver, and possibly James Jones.
So San Francisco traveling to Pittsburgh. Yeasty, Willie is tied. Willie Parker tied for first with Edgerrin James in rushing attempts so far this season. And the Pittsburgh defense has only allowed a league-low 10 points, so they're running the ball a lot. They're keeping the opponent from scoring. That's why they're 2-0.
Exactly. That's old-school Pittsburgh Steeler football. The first week against the Browns, they went through the air and got a lot of points that way early because they knew how they could win that way. San Francisco's got a stout defense as well. Patrick Willis is in there. Manny Lawson, we just heard, is out with an ACL injury. But I still think Pittsburgh's going to roll in this game. I think Willie Parker's good for 100 yards and a touchdown, 15 to 20 fantasy points total. I would go with another option besides Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback if you can. If you have to go with Big Ben, he should be all right too.
Yeah, and Hines Ward is really starting to show that he's got that touchdown scoring mentality this season. I think he's a good play here in this matchup. And on the San Francisco side of things, one player I wanted to touch on real briefly, Vernon Davis, invisible through the first 2 weeks, only 4 catches, went to his coaching staff and said, "Give me the damn ball."
You know, sometimes it works. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, as we like to say. You know, I mean, it works sometimes, but until it does, until you start to see it work, I keep him on the bench. The receivers are a mess there, you know. I mean, Darrell Jackson, Ashley Lallee.
Brutal.
It's brutal. So that's why Alex Smith has regressed, like I said he was going to before the start of the year. Frank Gore's the only thing he got going, but nobody really runs the ball well against Pittsburgh. So start him. I'd still start him, but don't expect a whole lot.
Now, St. Louis Rams, they're a team that I'm supporting here on the show. Torrey Holt been a reliable option for fantasy owners, scoring a touchdown in week 1 and in week 2. But Yeasty, St. Louis, a team many of us had high hopes for, lost their first 2 games of the season. Both games were at home. Now they have to travel to Tampa, where the Bucs really did a number last week on the Saints. What's going on with the Bucs? What's going on with St. Louis? What do you think about this matchup?
Well, St. Louis has never really done that well outside on grass, especially when they do go to Tampa Bay. They've never really performed all that well.
Right.
Look for them to slow down a little bit more. The offensive line is really banged up. Mark Bulger got sacked 6 times, so hopefully he can make it through the season. I'm not sure if he will or not. That's definitely hurt Steven Jackson, who basically was, on fire after the game. He was so PO'd. Things aren't looking great. You guys picked them to win in the division. Thank God I went with the Seahawks at this point. Tampa Bay looked good last week, but that was the New Orleans defense. Start Jeff Garcia if you absolutely have to. Cadillac Williams, don't do it. Don't take the bait on Cadillac. Joey Galloway is still a solid number 3 that you can exploit some matchups with. Other than that, I really wouldn't go much farther than that on the Tampa Bay side of the ball.
Now, Cincinnati was involved in a real shootout last week. Carson Palmer putting up 6 touchdowns. Cincinnati traveling to Seattle, a team that was upset last week at home by Arizona. A fluke play late in Seattle's game where Sean Alexander collides with his quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck. A fumble ensues, and they lose the game at home. So these are 2 teams, Yeasty, that I think are going to be entering this game very hungry, coming off bitter losses to teams they should really have no business losing to. How's this one going to play out? Cincy at Seattle.
If I had to pick a game that I thought would be the highest scoring game of the week, it would definitely be this one. At this point, you have to start all of your Bengals. I mean, Carson Palmer, Rudy Johnson, Chad Johnson, T.J. Houshmandzadeh. If you're in a really deep league and you have a flex player, a number 3 wide receiver, I forget his first name. Holt, not the good Holt. Terrence Holt. He got 5 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. So he did well last week in replacing Tab Perry. So, Cincinnati's going to score. Sean Alexander is going to score against this defense. Deion Branch had a nice game. So even Nate Burleson showed some signs last week.
Right, and Deion Branch was a player on this very show last week that I said, go ahead, feel confident, keep him in your lineup. He produced a 100-yard game last week. I think he had 7 or 8 catches. I think obviously Cincinnati has major issues in their secondary. They got roasted for 5 touchdown passes last week by the Browns, and Derek Anderson was throwing the ball. So I got to believe Matt Hasselbeck's going to post some great numbers here. Seattle's wide receivers are good plays, as you said, Yeasty, in this matchup. And Big Sean, he should roll if Jamal Lewis rolled.
Speaking of the Browns, they're going to Oakland this week, and let's not get into any kind of fodder over the Browns and, oh my God, Derek Anderson came in and he's going to keep Brady Quinn on the sidelines and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Derek Anderson is Derek Anderson, and he's Derek Anderson for a reason.
Who's Derek Anderson?
Exactly. That's my point. I'm a Browns fan. I wasn't shocked and amazed.
Where did he play in college?
I don't have any idea. I don't even care because he's not going to be on the team next year. I don't care. Jamal Lewis, he only does that when he must have had a few drinks and he thought he was playing against the Browns,
right.
So he rolled for over 200 yards. Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow are the only guys you should be starting this week at Oakland for Cleveland. And
realistically, Yeasty, Oakland has a very good secondary.
They do.
And they were exploited a little bit in their opener when they played a high-flying Detroit offense, but they should be able to bring some defense in this matchup. I think, like Yeasty was saying, a couple plays on Oakland side and on Cleveland side and really on Oakland side. Lamont Jordan, a big surprise so far this season, 4th in the league in rushing. You can keep him in play here too.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in play. Don't know who's going to break out at the wide receiver position for the Raiders just yet. Lamont would be about all I would start. Winslow and Edwards on the Cleveland side. Neither defense really. Maybe a kicker if you have them. That'd be about all I'd do.
So how are you enjoying the show? It's Testosterone Sports. Check out our website, testosteronesports.com. We'll be back right after these messages with more matchups to help you dominate your fantasy football league.
Well, I'm Jeff, and this is my Riders page. Thanks for checking it out. Right here on the behind the scenes of our show, Testosterone. I'm going to kind of treat my Riders page as my own profile, as if it were MySpace, with a fantasy football and Minnesota Vikings flavor to it. So thanks for checking it out. I like to rant and rave on my blogs and kind of blow off a little bit of steam since I don't have a whole lot of people who will listen to me, except for those of you who are forced to when you watch our show. So anyway, thanks for checking it out once again, and peruse around as you will. Thanks a lot. Why are you laughing at me for?
What is up, fantasy football junkies? This is Jesse. Thank you for checking out my Riders page right here on this page on testosteronesports.com. Every single week, I'm going to be dropping some insights, some knowledge to help you dominate your fantasy football leagues. I encourage you, take some time to check out my fellow Riders pages as well. I know that these guys are all putting in some work for your enjoyment, for your benefit, to help you dominate your leagues. Check us out on a weekly basis, and while you're here on our site, don't forget to check out our rankings. Jeff updates them every single week. We have a fat chat that goes on every Saturday night after the show. You want to check that out as well. There's a plethora of things here on our website, but while you're here on my Riders page, check out all of the different content that I have for you to offer, and send me your feedback through the link on the homepage. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Yeasty. Thanks for checking out my Riders page. Go ahead and peruse through all my thoughts and rants and raves, and check out the stories that I put up here each week, breaking down all the matchups, what I think is going to happen in each game. I encourage you to check out everybody else, Jeff, Jesse, Zach, Nick, Will, everybody out here. Check out all the rankings. Hollywood does some stuff too, but this is the main place you want to be for all the info. Everybody knows the Yeast is the place to get all your stuff. So thanks for checking it out, and I'll keep it fresh for you. I should have said something to end it.
Jesse and Yeasty on the show that you love to tune into every single week, Testosterone Fantasy Sports. We invite you again. Check out our website after the show, testosteronesports.com. Yeasty, we're going to be on there doing the fat chat like we do it every week.
Yeah, come on right after the show, testosteronesports.com, tfs-online.com if you can't spell testosterone. That's one easy way to get on there. We'll be on there waiting to chat with you. Got any last-minute lineup questions, injury questions, come on and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we want to help you weather the storm, just as we're doing right now, hunkered down in our bunker in Brooklyn Park, recording this show on Thursday night. We apologize, fantasy junkies, for the lack of the scroll that usually flows freely at the bottom of our screen. We are under severe tornadic activity warnings right now, Yeast.
Yeah, well, we're talking about touchdowns, and I hear that there was a touchdown in Minnetonka just a minute ago. Tornado just touched down there, so hopefully nothing comes our way and we'll be all right.
That's more touchdowns than we've seen at any point in time this season from the Vikes, man. Oh, I hate to rip my own squad, but...
Didn't I say 5-11 for those guys?
Shut up.
All right, then.
The marquee matchup of the week absolutely has to be the Sunday Nighter. I cannot wait to dig into this matchup. Can't wait to sit down on my couch and order a large pizza and gorge myself and watch Dallas play Chicago. The team that won the NFC last year with the team that looks like a potential favorite to win the NFC this year. Dallas at Chicago, Yeasty. Fantastic matchup.
It's a great matchup. I can't wait to watch this game either. I'm actually going to pick Dallas in our pick'em segment, our pick'em portion of the website.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Dallas over Chicago, and frankly, I think it's because of Marion Barber. I mean, that guy has been running like crazy. They look like last week they finally got it. They finally realized we need to give the ball to this guy more often. Terrell Owens and Tony Romo connecting well. Jason Witten has been solid. Dallas is clicking on all cylinders right now on offense, and they've got a pretty solid defense as well that I think can harass Rex Grossman. That's why I'm going to take Dallas. Yeah,
I like Dallas a lot in this matchup too. I do have some questions about Tony Romo, although he's the third highest rated passer in the NFL right now. 6-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Multiple touchdowns he's passed in 4 of his last 5 games. But so far this season, he's played the Dolphins and the Giants. So this defense is really going to be a test for Romo, and his young leadership abilities are going to be tested very difficultly by Brian Urlacher and the Bears D. I do think Dallas prevails, but it's primarily a factor of the fact that Chicago's offense sucks.
Yeah, the Chicago offense isn't that good. Just like I said about Cedric Benson before the year started, he got 100 yards against the Chiefs last week, but that's the Chiefs. Week 1 is going to be more indicative of the, 21 carries for 46 yards, whatever it was that he had.
2.1 a carry.
Doesn't matter. He's not doing well. Bernard Berrien's performing well in limited opportunities, given that Rex Grossman struggled somewhat. Greg Olson may play this week if you have Greg Olson. Keep an eye on that. Other than that, Robbie Gould's a solid kicker option, and it should be, I would say, about 23-17, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I like Dallas here in this matchup. I agree with Yeasty on the Marion Barber tip. You got to keep him in your lineup, even though he's playing a Bears defense. This guy runs hungry. When he gets the ball in his hands, he wants to score on every single play. Definitely the better play between he and Julius Jones. And we all know that those backfield committees can be a major headache for fantasy owners. Just as Barber is emerging there, I want to see who's going to emerge in Jacksonville. Jacksonville traveling to Denver. You know you can't pass the ball against Denver's #1 ranked pass D. So Jacksonville ranked 3rd in the league last year in the run. Who's going to emerge at their tailback position?
It looks like Fred Taylor. I mean, they're not giving the ball to Maurice Jones-Drew the way that they said they were going to, the way they look like they're going to in the preseason. You and I called it in the preseason, down on Mojo. I'm glad I traded him in our tough league. We called it in the preseason. Mojo was going to struggle. Hopefully it stays like that all year for guys like me and Jesse that got away from him. But, if you have him, see how it goes over the next couple weeks, and you'll have to decide what you want to do with him, whether you're going to trade him or not.
Yeah, he's got just 63 yards rushing and 0 touchdowns in his first 2 games. They're using him in improper ways, in my opinion. They're putting him in their goal line package, not the way they should be using him. I think Jacksonville is a team headed in the wrong direction. They're not going to be able to withstand the Broncos here in Mile High. I love Travis Henry, although he did get a touchdown vultured from him last week by Cecil Sapp, which, that's just another Mike Shanahan job, as I like to call it. But you got to keep Henry in your lineup. He leads the league in rushing, 267 yards in 2 games.
Yeah, he's definitely the #1 option, more clearly than I thought he would be. That goal line carry was another Henry's out for a breather thing. Everybody shouldn't, really play too much into that. So Selvin Young's still the #2 backup as far as we can tell. Cecil Sapp's the #3. Jay Cutler's throwing well. A little erratic at times, but he's getting some good points. He's been close to 300 yards both games. Javon Walker's playing well. Brandon Marshall has really emerged, like you called out in the preseason. He's doing really well. So overall, Denver should have a pretty good game. I look for them to score about 24 to 30 points.
And Jacksonville, not going to be able to pass the ball at all. So don't even think about anything in their passing game. Denver is allowing just 62.5 yards passing on the season. And this is a trend. When teams play the Broncos, those cornerbacks, Dre Bly and Champ Bailey, are going to completely shut down the opposition all season long. Now, Carolina traveling to Atlanta. Carolina, a team that got absolutely jacked in the mouth last week at home by Houston. They've got to be a little bit upset. Houston's a team they should easily beat. Now they travel to Atlanta, another team they should easily beat. But, I got questions now about Carolina all of a sudden.
I don't. I think Houston is really emerging as a solid team. But before Andre Johnson got down, I was actually considering taking the points against Indianapolis for Houston. I just think Carolina, they got a little caught off guard with how well Houston was clicking on offense. Steve Smith's looked great so far. Jake Deloma's looked great so far. They need to settle on one back in the running game, though, and I think that's kind of what's hurting them.
Yeah, until they decide on one of those backs, you've got to avoid both of them. They're kind of splitting the carries right down the middle. Neither of those guys has really produced solidly in that role. No one's stepping forward there either. But like you said, Yeasty, Delhomme, 6 touchdown passes. That ties him for 2nd in the league. He's moving back into that starter status as a fantasy play again. I think he makes a good start here because Steve Smith is on fire.
Yeah, Steve Smith is rolling so far this year. He had 3 touchdowns, 173 yards last week. Kind of a fluke long touchdown there towards the end of the game, but still, it all counts, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was like smoke and mirrors on that play. He disappeared into the line, and they thought they had him down, and then boom, he's gone for a long, long touchdown. He can do that. I think he does that kind of magic again here against Atlanta. Carolina will win this game. Atlanta just doesn't have a lot to offer. Warwick Dunn scored a touchdown last week, but do you really want to put Dunn into your lineup? That's kind of
No, you don't want Dunn or Jarius Norwood at this point. Roddy White has been their best receiver, so if you're really struggling for receiver help, go with that. Carolina Panthers defense, if they're available in your league, snag them for this 1-week matchup against Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. A defense you want to avoid at all costs, avoid like it's bubonic plague, the Giants defense. Last in total defense, traveling this week in a must-win situation to a Washington team that looked pretty good on Monday night. Got Liddell Betts going, got Clinton Portis going. Washington 2-0. Are they about to be 3-0 as they host the Giants?
Yeah, they're going to be 3-0, no question about it in my mind. Clinton Portis is running really well. It looks great that he took the preseason off to rest that knee. As a Liddell Betts owner, I'm a little disappointed in that. But Portis looks great. Liddell Betts still getting some touches, so if Portis does go down, he'll be a factor. Antoine Randall has been a nice surprise, and Jason Campbell's actually putting up some decent numbers. Derek Ward performed well last week for the Giants in a blowout loss. Burris tweaked his ankle again, and Eli went out late with the shoulder. So you're going to have to keep an eye on the injury situation with those guys and start who you need to.
Yeah, the storm is swirling in Brooklyn Park, where we're taping the show right now, but it's also swirling a media storm in New York. If they lose this game, people are going to be talking about how much time Tom Coughlin has remaining, and it's not looking good for his squad. Eli is about the only reliable option here from a fantasy perspective, in my opinion. Like Easty said, Derek Ward, potentially Plaxico Burress. I know Jeff's really high on him, but I just get the feeling that Washington is going to use their defense, which stifled the Eagles on Monday night. They're going to keep the score a little bit lower, use that power running game, and win this game effectively. Tennessee at New Orleans, the final matchup, a Monday nighter. Tell me New Orleans is going to finally get going.
They've got to. If they don't bust out and blow out Tennessee in this game, they're not going to do it. I mean, they've been trying to use Reggie Bush the wrong way, the same way Jacksonville's been trying to use Mojo. They're not giving Deuce McAllister the ball enough. Drew Brees is not making the right reads and finding the open receivers. I don't think he trusts the receivers so far. So this is the game where they broke out last year against Atlanta on the Monday night, where they kicked Atlanta's ass all over the place.
Right.
This is where they should do it again and hang 30-40 on Tennessee.
I agree. They're going to shake this rust off in a major way. You need to shake the rust off in a major way by joining us after the show for the Fat Chat, testosteronesports.com. It's going to be a great time. Yeasty's going to be on there. Jeff's going to be on there. We're wrapping up the Week 3 show. We hope you've enjoyed it. Tune in next week again for another episode of testosteronesports.com because if you want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Live on N.